It exploded across social media as nature's Ozempic, a cheap yellow capsule that supposedly melts fat. Overnight, berberine became one of the fastest-growing supplements on Earth. But the plant compound behind the hype is not a weight loss drug, and the truth is more interesting. So let's separate the viral claim from what the actual evidence really shows. What berberine actually is starts long before any influencer picked up a phone. It's a bright yellow alkaloid found in plants like barberry, golden seal, and Chinese gold thread. Traditional Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine used these plants for centuries, mainly for gut infections and diarrhea. Then modern researchers noticed something unexpected. It seemed to nudge blood sugar and cholesterol downward. The frenzy took off when Ozempic went scarce and expensive, and people wanted a shortcut. A pill costing pennies, promising the same results as an injection. The story sold itself. To judge it fairly, you have to understand how it works inside the body. Berberine activates an enzyme called AMPK, sometimes nicknamed the cell's metabolic master switch. When energy runs low, AMPK flips on and tells cells to burn fuel instead of storing it. Essentially, it flips a switch inside your cells that improves how they handle sugar. Here's the twist: the diabetes drug metformin works through that very same AMPK pathway. That shared mechanism is exactly why researchers got curious in the first place. Berberine also blocks a protein called PCSK9 and reshapes the bacteria in your gut. And the blood sugar numbers are the strongest part of berberine's whole story. Meta-analyses pooling dozens of trials show it lowers fasting glucose, insulin, and long-term blood sugar. It also improved HbA1c and a marker of insulin resistance called HOMA. The headline study came from 2008, when researchers pitted berberine directly against metformin. They gave 116 people with type 2 diabetes one of the two for 13 weeks. Berberine cut HbA1c by about 2%, almost identical to metformin's result. Fasting glucose dropped roughly a quarter in both groups. That's a genuinely striking finding. But before you get excited, notice the fine print. This was small, short, and in diabetics. Now the strangest part. Berberine is barely absorbed, less than 1% reaches your bloodstream. So how can something you barely absorb still move your blood sugar? That's the real puzzle. The leading answer: it acts largely in the gut, changing microbes that talk to your metabolism. But now for the claim that actually sells the bottles: weight loss. This is where the weight loss story falls apart under a closer look. A safety review found berberine trimmed under 1 kilogram, about 2 pounds, over many weeks. And when you strip out the low-quality studies, even that tiny weight loss vanishes entirely. Compare that to real GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic, which trigger 15 to 20% loss. Those drugs act on appetite hormones, dialing down hunger and slowing your stomach. Berberine does none of that. It doesn't touch satiety, so it never crushes appetite the same way. So the verdict on nature's Ozempic? The label is exaggerated and not supported by the evidence. The honest comparison was always metformin, a blood sugar helper, not a fat-melting drug. It may also modestly lower cholesterol, of interest to people who can't tolerate statins. The mild wins are real, the magic is not, and now the part that gets overlooked. The most common side effects are digestive, diarrhea, nausea, and stomach cramps. In short trials it's usually well tolerated, but long-term safety data are genuinely lacking. And the bigger safety issue is invisible: how berberine collides with other medicines. It blocks liver enzymes called CYP, which break down roughly half of all prescription drugs. Blocking them can let other medicines build up to unexpectedly high, even dangerous levels. Stacked with metformin or diabetes drugs, it can push blood sugar dangerously low. It can also interact with blood thinners, blood pressure pills, and transplant medicines. One warning stands out: pregnancy and breastfeeding. Berberine can worsen jaundice in a newborn. At the extreme, that raises the risk of kernicterus, rare but irreversible brain damage in babies. People with existing liver problems should also be cautious. This is not a casual gummy vitamin. And that brings us to the quietest scandal of all: what is actually inside the bottle. In many countries, the FDA regulates supplements as food, not medicine. That means no approval before sale, and no check that the label matches the capsule. Independent testing exposed the gap. In one round, 7 of 13 Berberine products failed. Most failures held under 2% of the Berberine promised on the front label. 2 Berberine gummies contained no Berberine at all. You paid for colored sugar. An earlier study found 6 in 10 products missed their own stated potency. It's a coin toss. So even if you try Berberine, you may not get what you think you bought. This is why third-party tested products, and a chat with a pharmacist, matter. None of this is medical advice, and Berberine is not a swap for prescribed treatment. If you take any medication, talk to a clinician before adding it, not instead of them. So here is the honest bottom line on Berberine, stripped of the hype. It's a real metabolic compound with modest, mostly blood sugar, effects, closer to metformin than magic. It is not nature's Ozempic, it barely shifts weight, and the bottle itself is a gamble. Interesting molecule, oversold hype. Judge it by the evidence, not the trend. Follow for evidence-based health, explained. A new video every day.